Sarbjit ji, I was asking you about your education experiences and about how we learn in both formal and informal environments. And you told me a little bit about how in the informal environment we learn through absorbing information from others and whatever. Now I just want to ask you about the differences between the things that we have learned informally through our Sikhi experience and the things that we have learned in a traditional classroom environment. For example, maybe science or other subjects. How do we synthesize? How do we make the connections between traditional education, spiritual education, and scientific education?
I think they need to complement each other. We can have traditional or the modern education in institutions while we have this incidental education, informal education through experience. Both have to be complemented to be comprehensive.
Mm.
And
yeah, that's right. And I suppose that a lot of the information that we gain in college or at university, a lot of that information is so specialized, it's not always relevant to our lives. A lot of what we learn, we will never use, whereas things that we experience tend to be more relevant, because we are learning in the context rather than learning about theories which we will never apply, right?
that's true. What we learn in the university or in the college, maybe we use 20% in our real life, but consciously or unconsciously, that knowledge has to stay. To make even informal decision, it's good to have knowledge which has been stored by experts over the years, is very valuable information, which in lifetime we may not have experience of everything, but through others' experience is useful.
Yeah, and I know that you have a PhD, so you've learned to specialize in a subject. Now, this question, it's like, in my view, a lot of people in India elevate or hold in very high esteem Western education. If somebody goes abroad to study in England or in the US, it's considered to be very good education. Even though we gained independence in 1947, it seems as though the European education is still admired. Whereas I know that, for example, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, he was able to memorize the whole Granth Sahib, and there are people who are able to memorize very long texts. And myself, as a teacher, I wouldn't know how to teach my students how to be able to do that. So in a way, it seems it's like we've lost the traditional ways of learning where we memorize a lot of information in favor of the Occidental way of learning things, where we rely very much on being like not so much on our memory but in texts. And what do you think about that when you were doing your PhD or you were teaching others? How did you handle that aspect of like being able to synthesize large chunks of knowledge and at the same time being able to make sense of them, make meaning out of them?
See, to be more productive and useful to the organization, to the society, to the nation, one has to have little creativity, thinking out of the box. You should be a bit of innovative. That it comes more through informal than formal. But the bases are required because uh, informal education can take you up to some distance. Because over the year, lifestyle has impacted us so much that we cannot sit at peace and see conscious and subconscious and find that knowledge from their depth. Therefore, we are more relying on what quickly is available so that we can grasp, and we should be productive, useful, and have a comfortable life. So lifestyle has been impacted so much by the technology, by the society, that most of us in a hurry quickly to be result oriented.
That's right. That's another thing, you see, that Western education is very often goal oriented, result oriented. We're studying in order to gain a particular, thing that a qualification or a job and whatever. Whereas there's another way of educating where it's not about goal, it's not driven by goals, it's driven by a desire to become more open or wiser or to search for truth, not necessarily a goal as such. So how do you kind of marry those two things together? It's like, one, well, we do need to earn a living somehow, but on the other hand, is that the only purpose of education, to achieve a goal, or is there a purpose to education which is more intrinsic, which is not goal oriented?
I can give you two examples, one of Stanford University, one is MIT, and my own IIT Kanpur, where I have been. You see, instead of teaching a subject, they talk of major and minor. And some university, like in Singapore, they go for two minors. The minor is your passion, your creativity. Out of the class, if there are 10 subjects, you have 6 or 7 traditional way to teach learning technology, what's currently going on, but allow the student to think creatively something else with supplements, because we want holistic. So personality development are holistic as a human being. It is important that Stanford has followed a concept of liberal arts education. Student is allowed to pick and make combination of subject which he or she would like to pursue. Even in MIT or even IT, the concept is that you have a relative assessment. Do not evaluate on absolute basis, give a question and this is the answer. No, as a class, solution may not be right from the book. It may be something new that probably will require more evaluation. So going for liberal arts approach of Stanford University or MIT goes for self-learning, creatively thinking and innovation. They are very innovative. I feel this which new has started, that one can, for example, one may lose a job which was his main subject, but if he has done minor supplementary subject, it will support him to go for that.
Mhm.
People become entrepreneurial after about 10, 12 years of service. They don't find much interest or they find no way out, they fall back. So informally learned or as a minor subject, which was your desire, is very, very helpful.
That sounds like a very good idea. So when you were doing your higher education, did you also complement your specialism with these optional studies that made your point of view or what you were learning, the knowledge, make it more holistic?
True, when I was doing a master's degree in IIT Kanpur, a good thing happened. They will tell us that we will give you the concept, but no question shall be asked of what we put on the board. You go to library, you do research, you find out the unfinished research work or some other thesis, and we will ask you question out of that. So in the time we given, they train us so that in 60 minutes or 90 minutes of examination, the problem will be given you very, very creative, something brand new. Now, on the basis of your learning, now you apply that and quickly think. So speed of thinking and innovatively, something different. So we found that was very useful.
That sounds like a very good idea. Yes, so that no one has to come up with a correct answer, because there can be many versions of that correctness. And again, like, there's that dichotomy between, like, the scientific method is very often associated with objective truth, like a fact is a fact and that there's only one reality, whereas we need to go to the arts for the subjective experience where many multiple interpretations are allowed. And so this takes me to the question about how we gain knowledge. And so traditionally we gain a lot of our knowledge through stories that we're told, through poetry. The Granth Sahib is full of poetry, it's full of metaphors, it's full of allegories, and so we learn to interpret those messages not in a like as though there is only one way of interpreting those messages, but we interpret those messages according to our own context, whereas the scientific method based on logic, based on like linear cause and effect, very often it's associated with the absolute truth. No, not always, because there is subjectivity even in science, but more or less we are looking for as though there is one right way, aren't we?
I can give you another technical answer. Machine learning. We are developing algorithm. So machine go through iterative learning. Do something, see the result, respond, improve upon this, see the result, again improve, till you find it's very comprehensive and useful. So instead of straight answer, go through the iterative process of evolving a solution, not solving a solution. Solving a problem is simple, but evolving a solution is collaboration, collective thinking, and maybe a very silly idea. But once you put together, synthesize, you find, whoa, this was the solution. This was really missing. So therefore, going for collective work, going for learning out of the box, this is very, very helpful.
So why is it, do you think, in your view, why is it that we have elevated for example, the European education system? Why is it that, so many people come abroad out of India to study in either the US or New Zealand or Australia or Britain? Why is that rather than learning in India? Why is the education system still considered to be better abroad?
See, it is the same question. Why do we go to church? Why we go to Gurdwara? Why we go to mandir to pray? Is the environment, is the culture, is the surrounding and people among whom you sit. Likewise, going to America, going to England, going to Germany for that matter, maybe the environments, the opportunities, guidance, because they do enabling you. Instead of learning through rote, they give you momentum. They trigger the knowledge in you to go beyond. So this innovative approach, which energizes creativity and more passion, more satisfaction. If you are passionate, you don't feel tired. You want to do more and more. You are exploring. You are evolving. So evolution only comes through creative thinking, and that is the way it is. Books, yes, they contain a lot of knowledge, wealth of knowledge by various people over the year who have done so much of research. Scientists, philosophers, doctors, engineers, everybody's contributed. It's good to pick that up, but never to forget their other aspect. And human mind is very, very creative, very fertile. It keeps thinking all the time. Many times when we're sleeping also it's working. So it is good to have a comprehensive approach, not to limit itself that read from the book. Like somebody say, reading from the book is old knowledge, 5-year-old, maybe 7-year-old. But if you want to apply knowledge, then you are thinking out of the book. Yeah, that is important.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the traditional education, because you see, education has changed so much. When we were studying, when I was studying, when I was at school, I had to rely on my teacher to give me knowledge because there was no other way I would get that knowledge. It was the teacher that was the fountain of all knowledge at that point. But now, if I want to learn something, I can go on the internet, I can speak with other people like yourself, for example, I can network. So there are lots of different ways that I can gain knowledge. I don't have to rely on a teacher in a classroom, due to the internet, due to the computers, due to all this technology that is available to us. It's kind of democratized how we learn, what we learn, when we learn. And I think that also is something that, whereas in the past, like if there was only one book that, like say Charles Darwin's theories, there was only one book you could read that about, you could only read about Charles Darwin in this book. So you had to make sure you had access to that one book. But now you can access those theories in thousands of different places, can't you?
See, I was impressed. My grandson, who was studying in class 5, level 5, in the school nearby, he was telling me that this is my hypothesis and I have to do a project and I will submit it. I say, how do you know the word hypothesis? This much later comes when you have done something. He said, no, they teach us. So if they start teaching a child at the age of, in the class of 5 or class 4, what is a hypothesis? What is a programming skills? What is a thinking out of the box? Why ask why? Question it so that you get answer. So those are the things in the education system which America has got, England has got, UK has got. So India is far back because we are improved considerably. So why people, let the brain drain? A lot of people who want to, after graduation, want to come post-graduation in foreign countries, do PhD and perform very well here because it is the environments. Now in India, we have to justify that we are bringing up a country where there is so much of poverty, illiteracy, and a huge population, and living standard was low, infrastructure was poor. We are doing many things. Over the year, much has happened. Things have improved. But I do agree with you that education has to be holistic, creative, which is not only productive for the organization which I am doing a job, but it should benefit the society where I live. If my education has given me a value that I can help the needy, can I come to the rescue of someone, whether it's a man or an animal or a bird? So those aspects are not in the book, much in you. So that's why people have to follow certain aspect of yogic exercise, a certain spiritualism, like spirituality and science, another very good subject.
Well, you draw on something. You talk about helping the needy, that if you have an education, you can help the society in which you live in. But there are societies which are focused on the individual interests, and there are societies that are focused on the collective interests. And that's kind of another dichotomy. And I think like there needs to be some sort of synthesis, because both individual and collective interest, they're both important. We can't deny our self-interest at the, we can't help the needy at our own expense, and vice versa. It can be very sad and lonely to only have self-interest, not help anyone else. But how do we kind of integrate or synthesize those concepts where we are using our education for both self-interest and also for communal interest?
Lately, it has started even in India that whether I'm doing engineering or medical subject, I must study certain so-called art subject. I should read about the sociology, psychology, to understand the human aspect. That allows me to do certain consideration how I can apply my technology for the benefit of the people. For instance, after about my 15 year of service in the defense and with my PhD degree in my background, I was sitting in a class on sociology and I found that subject impacted me so much that over the year I missed something. Sociology telling me what is a socialism, what is a society, and how I can apply what I have got. And whether society gives me award for that or not, but I'll have a great satisfaction that I have done something creativity. That's what MIT teaches in the lab. MIT labs are famous.
Mhm.
Like they came to us, allow us to design anything you want. One fellow wanted from the village. He want to improve upon the V-shaped chapel, which is Hawaii chapel, which is too trivial and simple. What can you innovate in that? There is no. What you people need it, you do innovation in that. It is okay to learn abroad, but if a doctor learns in Japan how to operate certain things, when he comes and work, say in Chandigarh or Delhi or something, he is dealing in local environments. He can apply that, but benefit the people. So learning abroad, modern technology, very good. To apply it to the society is very necessary. So I think the humanistic approaches are needed.
Absolutely. And you see, this is why I always kind of insist on these conversations being spontaneous and being natural without a lot of preparation, because the way we've had a conversation now, I feel that learning has taken place. I've learned something from you, and hopefully you've, through responding to my questions, which were new to you. I didn't tell you these questions in advance. Hopefully it's triggered some ideas in yourself as well. So in a genuine conversation, in a sincere conversation, learning takes place. And I think that when we overlook the importance of learning through these informal methods, for example, having a conversation, having a discussion with somebody, a lot of very deep learning can take place, can't it?
Giving you a small example, I was doing a course on MA in public administration, and I want to do on hospital management. I used to travel at my own about 10 kilometers in Jammu, go to hospital, go around the ward, sit with the patient and talk to them. Where are you from? What your age? What you are suffering? They used to mistake me that I'm a doctor, but I was collecting factual data. Data from the registrar of the hospital is different, but people who the repeat patient, poor patient, old patient, a child patient, there are so many variety of people and traditional many things. So in my PhD, I used a lot of data which I collected. I was in studying in Chandigarh. I should travel to Delhi, come to AIMS, come to Safdarjung Hospital, meet people. What I picked up from the floor in an operation theater or other was much more valuable than I was doing in the book. So it is very necessary to do more field work where you need the reality.
Yeah, it's like your grandson, he's in year 5, and he's already got a hypothesis, and he's going to test that hypothesis out. And that, for me, it's like the way we do our PhDs. I wish that that would start much sooner, that young children would be taught how to think of a question. What's a good research question for you, and how will you find your answer for it? And if we can train young minds to be curious and to spend time on forming the right questions, because you see, in teaching, most of the time the teachers are asking the questions. We don't give enough time for the students to formulate their own questions and to ask really good questions. It's like, I think research has been done on this, that the ratio of teachers' questions to students' questions is about 30-1. In the research, a research paper that I read, it's like the teacher will ask 30 questions to the student asking one. Well, maybe we need to give them more space to be asking more questions, because a lot of learning takes place even in formulating a question, doesn't it?
That's true. That's true. Um, Experience gives you a lot of idea what is on reality on the ground is happening, and I think this model of liberal arts that Engineering is not the end all, so is medical sciences. You have a subject, maybe sociology, maybe philosophy, maybe political science, maybe another subject, maybe photography. It can help you if you are a photographer. But since you were talking of Gurbani, it says, be like a lotus. In the pond, there's a lot of muck, lot of mud, and many other things floating around. Don't get affected. You have a mission to serve the society, be have a righteous life, study well for what? Living is important. Are you benefiting society, benefiting your country? Important.
Mhm.
So as we grow, now it comes the experience, the informal. As we grow more and more, many things are not in the book, but experience teaches us when things happen, oh my God, I have to do like this. There is a one word called innovation and one is called improvisation.
Mhm.
We are very uh, experienced in improvising things.
Mhm.
Suddenly something's happened, you have to immediately look around, whatever is available, pick and stitch, but we have to get through and get going and do it.
Mhm.
So improvising a solution immediately within a minute, later on you can do anything, is important. So education, formal, maybe 70% is very necessary to have the foundation, but more is humanistic. Human values are important, society values are important, and well, there are different approaches. People are making compulsory yogic exercises, how to calm down, how to control your mind, subconscious mind. If Guru Gobind Singh could memorize the entire Guru Granth Sahib and get it rewritten, edited, and all grammar correct, every word is correct, how it is possible humanly?
Mhm.
Impossible.
Mhm.
So there is certain thing, spiritualism, spirituality, science, and human is a very wonderful machine, and we have to train it to do good job.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Savji. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry for the inconvenience.
Okay, no, it's
Okay,
been wonderful. Thank you very much for your patience as well. Thank you.
thank you very
Okay,
much.
then. Bye-bye.
God bless you.
God bless
May
you
you
too.
succeed in your
Yes.
great mission which you're doing globally. That's a
Thank
very good
Yes,
mission.
yeah,
Thank you.
and it's through participation with wise people like yourself that knowledge is being created. Because the things that you told me just now, I didn't know about. So I've learned something through this conversation. So that's what we're creating. We're basically co-creating knowledge
That,
through these
that's
conversations.
what they say. Listening, you learn a lot.
That's right.
By talking, you're only talking what you know it. But when you're listening, you're gaining more.
Yeah.
So I have gained a lot. Thank you very much. And
Thank,
God bless you.
thank you, Dr. Sav. Thank you.